Thousands and thousands and thousands of international students, immigrants, workers, and foreigners in Canada could be deported at the end of this year because of a new policy which was introduced by the Canadian government. And you need to listen to this video to the end so that you know how many people are stranded in Canada without knowing their fate. Otherwise, their life or their fate is in limbo because of new policies which keep coming day in, day out, because the Canadian government is not stable because, because we are heading into an election year. So they are changing this policy day in, day out. And these are affecting thousands and thousands of students with their family, because we usually know in Canada, most people immigrate to Canada with the thought of they'll transition to another program. For example, the provincial nomination program, for example, the express entry, for example, the Canadian experience class after they are done with their studies. But now, with the new policies, with the new changes, many people will be stuck in Canada without a proper plan, without prospects of their work visas being extended, because new policies keep on coming in, day out. We all know that the Canadian government is facing an election, and election is a flashpoint. Election is a talking point when it comes to immigration. Sorry, is a talking point when it comes to elections. And the US and Canada, because these are neighboring countries, what happens in the US mostly times affects what happens in Canada. So there is an election in the US, and the biggest challenge for the ruling party, ruling party, let me say that, is immigration, and that has been used widely to discredit the Harris, Kamala Harris presidential bid. So Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, is being faced with the same challenge, because he has been pro-immigration since the start of his tenure. But now is being faced by a competitor who is anti-immigration. And as you know, many Canadians, they are saying that there is a housing crisis because of mostly students and foreign workers, who are so many in the country, from Asian countries, African countries. There are so many people. There are some places like Brampton where you find the biggest majority of people in that area is Indians, for example. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but they have managed to immigrate for studies to Canada. So recently, I saw them holding a protest in Canada, and these are protests which are happening across the whole country in Canada because of many students. Many people are seeing that by the end of the year, there's a likelihood they'll be deported. And I don't know how this is going to change, because the Canadian government is being faced by this problem of an impending election, which they are likely to lose because of immigration, among other issues. So I was reading an article which was talking about what is happening with the looming international students deportation, and it's written in the Toronto City News. So I'll share it in the link in the description, so that later on you can go and see. So the title of that magazine was "Thousands of International Students in Canada Face Deportation, Sparking Nationwide Protests." So it goes ahead and says, Canada is currently witnessing a countrywide protest as more than 70,000 international student graduates could face deportation due to federal policy changes, and the unprecedented number of students who come to the country with dreams of a new life say that their futures are now in limbo. And this will tell you that many students who get Canadian visas to go and study, they are going to that country so that with the thought that later on they'll transition to either permanent residency or a work permit, and eventually transition to a citizen. But now, with the new policies being announced day in, day out, many students are likely to find themselves between a rock and a hard place, because one, these are people who have spent so much money to maybe pursue a master's degree, undergraduate degree, a PhD, with the with the hope that the Canadian government will not change things anyhow. But you see, these governments, they have their own interest at heart. They have their own interest. Despite the fact that they are bringing you in, they still want to survive. And they want to appear to be doing the good thing, the best thing to the electorate. So chances are that the Canadian government will not back down. And that is quite unfortunate because you might find very many people, mostly in the in the professions which are not in the shortage occupation list, they are likely to be deported at the end of the year because the government doesn't want to lose these election. And the challenge which faces most of these students, as I told you, is that they have used so much money. They have used a lot of money, fundraising, student loans, and the moment you are told that you'll not proceed with working in that country, things are not, they will not be easy because you need to repay this loan. Maybe you've gotten this loan from a bank, from an international, maybe financial institution, and you are not able to repay this money because obviously you are not working. And the money you used, you're not likely to recoup this money in your home country because of the strength of the currency, because our currencies for different countries is not one of the best. Also, sometimes you find that someone is not able to get a job in the country they come from. Maybe you come from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ghana, Nigeria, India. You're not likely to get a good job which can service the loan which you took, the facility which you took to be able to go and study in Canada. And now things have happened. You've been told that you need to go back at the end of the year because the policy has changed. That's how hard things are. So let me just continue reading. Representative in the Naujan Support Network Group, I think that's a student policy advocacy group, said the graduates are at risk of being deported when their work permits expire at the end of this year. That is the year 2020. That is the year 2024. And the people who are already working on what we used to call post-graduation work permit, their work permits will not be renewed. There is a high chance that their work permits won't be renewed at the end of the year. So what does that mean? That basically means all these students will be required to go back to their home country with their families. And some people, you find that before, you used to get a post-graduation work permit or a study permit, and your spouse used to get an open work permit. And these governments are so cunning because they had a challenge because of COVID-19. And that is how they allowed so many people to be able to get work permits. And now that things have eased up, they don't want to continue with this program. So, as much as students get visas to study in different countries in the world, I usually advise someone also make plans back at home because you never know when these governments will change their policies. So I'll be sharing this link in the comment section so that anyone who wants to follow and know what has been happening in terms of students and foreign workers in Canada, you'll be able to go and see for yourself. So right now, Canada is not a good place for you to look for student visa. You need to wait. I would advise anyone, just wait and just wait for these policies. At least wait for the elections to be over because that is what is causing all these changes. And you need to be aware and know the right time to apply for a student visa, for any type of visa which is temporary, because at the back of the mind, I know you have another plan of once you finish, you want you want to prop your CRS score so that you apply for permanent residence.